Okay, so we're doing a walkthrough of specifically the Star Wars Video Library API mashup. Um, so the problem, let me screen share, is that we're trying to show a list of movies, and then we were supposed to have an image for the movie, but the API that we're using doesn't give us the image. So we have to get it from somewhere else. I recommended Omdb yesterday, which is another API. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is clone this down. And then let's just set up a little environment here. Oops. Server editor shell. Okay, so for the server for this, I'm going to go into the site, npx light server. All right. There she blows. Then over here, instructions. First user story, showing a list of movies. Given that a Star Wars fan is on the home page, hey, we are, then a list of all the Star Wars movies are shown. Okay? So the index.html is this. The Index.Js is empty. So to get all the films for the Star Wars API, it is swappy.dev/API/films. And then if we parse that response, we should have something kind of like a list of the films. Let's see if we do. All right, so this results array has our films in it. Excellent. So if I made that films is response.results, oops, I'm still logging the response. All right, then I get an array of 6 flicks. So let's get those showing up on the page real quick. And I think I had a template for those. All right, movie listing looks like that. So I'm going to make a movie listing element. Which is a div. Movie listing will have class of movie listing added to it, and will otherwise have this HTML. Okay, so movie name goes there. I think it was just, oh, I need to do this in a loop. That's right. So I'm going to iterate over all these films. And I will call these $ films. Okay, so I map over each one, make a movie listing. This is going to represent each of the films. So that'll be film dot, I don't know, probably title. And then once I have all of those films, I'm going to append them to whatever that movies. Yeah. So I'll grab a reference to that. Looks about right. Cool. And then this just needs to return the movie listing. All right, cool. So now I got those showing up on the page. And I need to get a movie ID and I need the movie release year. So the year I can pull out from, let's see, release date. So this is a super good candidate for a little utility function that will take in a date and return the year. So maybe that's something like return date.slice 04. I think that'll do it. So then this could be get year film dot release date. Release underscore date. All right. Release underscore date. All right, cool. That worked. And then, all right, so this is like our next tricky thing. This movie ID goes here thing. So the problem is that you're tempted to do film dot episode ID, I think it is. All right, and so you can see that the URL is changing on those. Awesome, but those don't actually map up to what the ID of the film is. I don't think they give us the ID of the film, which is really terrible API design. Yeah, that's really trash. All right, that's fine. So we can make a mapping and have like film ID map is an object. And so we need to map like an episode ID to a film ID. So episode 4 is ID 1, 5 is 2, 6 is 3, 1 is 4, 2 is 5, and 3 is 6. All right, so now instead of getting that ID directly, I can look it up on the film ID map. So I could say film ID map and now when I hover over these, A New Hope is 1, Empire is 2, so all in order. That's the right way to map an ID like that. Okay, so we're supposed to get an image on there, but we don't have a good image URL. So I had folks go into the Omdb. So I'm just going to pull that real quick. I'm going to call this Omdb base URL. And I'm going to extract my key out of that because that's probably something I want to either tuck away or abstract out or do something else with. But there we go. So then that becomes API key. Change these to backticks. And then the base URL is just that. Okay, so what I want to do is like append a title to that, and I need to get that title from somewhere. So let's look at like the different places we could have done this. So we're in this promise here. We're going to have to make a request. That's definitely part of this. And that request is going to need to resolve. That means that this whole then block right there, that's going to need to kind of get kicked down the road a little bit. Because we don't have all the data that we need yet. So we shouldn't build what this like final presentation is going to be until we have that. So see, let's do a fetch, and we're going to fetch to the Omdb base URL, and then we'll append that title, which we could get from film.title. Oops, but film is in here. Oh, this is tricky. All right. So let's start then by getting all the titles, because we're going to need to promise.all that. So I'm going to comment that out for a sec. So the titles is the films, and then map over each film and take its title out. And then what we need to do is take those titles and build a bunch of fetch requests out of them. So that will be something like mapping over those, taking the title that we get back from that, and returning fetch this thing here. Returning those fetch requests and putting film.title in here and parsing the response. So that'll be response. Come on, Kyle. Response.json. Fix the readability on that just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be the poster, or the Omdb requests. And then I want to promise.all all of those Omdb requests. And then the response to that is going to be an array of all of the responses. So let's take a look at what those are. Yep. Okay, so here's a good example of reading an error. It says, hey, buddy, film isn't defined. Okay, where is it not defined? On Index.Js, line 23, column 40. And so that's right there. And that would make sense, actually, because it's not film.title. We just say title around here, bud. All right, So my OMDB responses, cool, pretty close. Now, part of the problem was that this A New Hope is that sad sack one. So we don't want that. So that means maybe we make another mapping. So this could be something like const film title map. And then we just need to match these up. So it would be something like A New Hope is actually Star Wars. And everything else was actually right. So what we could do is we could say something like the normalized title is either film title map at whatever film title is. So if we get A New Hope back, then that should return Star Wars. Or if it's not on there, if it comes back as undefined, we can use what's called a Boolean short circuit and use just like our logical OR and say, or just whatever the film title was. That's
Kyle,
it.
I did want to say, I was going to say, Attack of the Clones will come back wrong the way you have it, as well as Phantom Menace.
Oh, cool.
You should put a you should take the, I would just, in your return for the fetch, just put in a year, because we already have a get year, so you can do Attack of the Clones that came out in this year, just in your return down there, instead of having to map out something else.
I don't want to get too nuts with this.
Okay.
So I can do the well, whatever. We can look at that in a sec. So
Okay.
we've got a normalized title here. So if we do need to like change a title, no problem. We can look that up. Then this becomes the normalized title. Title. All right, so those OMDB responses. Hey, now I'm getting like actual Star Wars back. Okay, so that's all happening over here. Uh-oh, but I still need to like build out these things. Well, what I can do is I can move a lot of this stuff that I'm doing over here into that promise.all handler. So I could say, just move that over to this. And now I should have access to all of it. So if I made this an image tag with an SRC of whatever that thing ends up being, and an alt text of the film's title. And then this was, okay, so now next tricky thing is I need to take these OMDB responses, I'm gonna give it a name, OMDB responses. And I need to look up what like that particular one was. All right. So let's see how I might be able to do that. So capital P poster is going to have like the thing that I want, but I need to find that particular response first. So what do I have on here that can uniquely identify it? How about the IMDb ID? So that might be another decent map that we could have. It'd be something like const IMDb ID map. And so I want something that I have, and then I want to map that to something that OMDB has. So the thing that I have is that title. That's what I was using to request it. And so I could take like the normalized title, or no, I'll just take the real title. I'll do the same thing I did up here, and have like A New Hope maps to whatever that IMDb ID is. The Empire Strikes Back. I'm going to keep all the IDs the same for right now. Return of the Jedi. Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones. And Revenge of the Sith. Oops. And those are strings, not numbers. Cool. So then Empire Strikes Back is that one. Return of the Jedi is this one. The Phantom Menace is this one. And Revenge of the Sith is this one. Oops. Okay, so now if I have a name, I can look that up to get the IMDb thing. So, all right, where was I? Building out this thing here. So what I want to do is I want to find the poster URL. So that's going to be something like poster URL equals the OMDB responses, find the OMDB response that has a IMDb what's it called? IMDb capital I capital D of IMDb ID map that is the film's title. That should give me a poster URL. All right, and then I want to sanity check myself that those URLs actually came back okay. I'm not sure I got those names 100% correct. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Nope, those are... Ah, I see. So I found the right one. I still need to get its poster with a P. Glad I checked. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. So I can tag that poster onto the end and then look up the poster URL here. There you go, API mashup. And yeah, those, those posters are not super right. So we could also like use the year or something like that to get it. But we don't stop there. And hey, this is a big like tangled mess of code. I'm not gonna be able to follow this thing in like half an hour. So this is like a great opportunity to pause and pull some of this stuff out. Fix the formatting, fix the names, extract some functions, that kind of stuff. See if we can make this a little bit easier to follow. So like starting up here, okay, so all of that is this. So are there things in here that I can turn into functions? How about this? So this is something that takes in a title and turns it into a request for that like poster or whatever. Oh! I just thought of another really good way to do this, but I'll keep this train of thought. So this thing takes in a title and then returns that HTTP request. So that would be something like get Omdb by title. And it takes in a title and then does all the rest. All right, well, that's all of this. So if I just copy that into here and then turn this into get Omdb by title and pass the title in, I've made this a little bit easier to follow. And really, anytime you have something like this where you're passing in a title and then just immediately, or like you have a lambda or a fat arrow function like this, and you're just immediately passing that argument into something else, you can just do that instead. All right, and it still works. And we got all of this kind of out of the way so we can follow the logic a little bit easier. And then, all right, let's find another one of those that we can do. It helps to like kind of look like in what's like the most nested thing. If you try to pull out these huge things, it's way harder to find the names for those while you still have all this bulk and it's not necessarily easy to find out what's going on. So like this right here, that could probably be a function. So it'd be something like get HTML, get movie listing HTML. And it takes in a movie listing and a poster URL. And then just applies this template to it. And we're calling it film there. That's fine. Cool. And then this turns into get movie listing HTML, takes in the film and the poster URL. Is it still working? It's still working. All right, what else can I take out? How about this one right here? Or even just like make like a get poster URL. Get poster URL. And that takes in the OMDB response and a title. Okay, so it's going to take in the OMDB responses and a title. And then I think I can just return all of this. So then getting the poster URL turns into const poster URL is get poster URL OMDB responses film.title. And now we don't need that anymore. Hey, see how this is starting to like shrink up a little bit and it's starting to get a little bit easier to follow the logic on it. And then next thing is everything I'm doing in this map. So that takes in a film and returns a movie listing. So that could be something like film to movie listing. Film so like all of that. Okay, that works. That works. That needs the OMDB responses, so that also needs to be part of it, but otherwise it's pretty good. So then all of this could be film to movie listing. Sorry, in there. OMDB responses. And now we don't need any of that. And it's still working. And this doesn't need to be saved into anything anymore. Cool. And that's pretty terse. So this is the actual logic of the thing. So we request a list of films, parse them, take the responses, generate a bunch of OMDB requests with those, process through the OMDB requests, take the responses that we get back. Now, here's the entire magic trick. We map over the films, not the responses. We map over the films, but now we have those OMDB responses, so we can build the movie listing with both of those things together. That's the mashup part. And then we append the result to the page. That is how you do nested promises. Ask me some questions.
Can you post that code somewhere, like in the Discord?
Yeah,
I was
totally.
keeping up until we started pulling things out.
Yeah, no problem. And then all of this stuff, teeny tiny, super easy to follow the logic on that. This could have been one of your reading code, like reading code number 1. These maps, they're not even logic, they're just data. This, it's got like some pro tricks in it, but it's not especially difficult logic to find. We either try to look up a title, or we default to whatever title we already have. We look something up, parse the response. This one, all it does is make a string. This looks through an array. Like this is a Beyonce problem right here. This basic DOM manipulation. That is the whole like super tricky thing that like honestly, that's hard. You should not feel bad about not being able to do that. That's a pretty tricky one. That's the real hard part. But we composed this complex behavior out of little teeny tiny pieces. That's software development. Ask me some questions.
Using this method, were we able to get the correct Attack of the Clones poster?
So let's see. So you know what we could do? So if we set, okay, here's the challenge. If we set the Attack of the Clones IMDb ID to the correct IMDb ID for Attack of the Clones, like, check it out. So if I pull that out from IMDb and put that here instead, that doesn't work because it straight up broke it. Because yeah, it can't find it. It doesn't have every IMDb ID. It just has the 6. We're just figuring out which one of those 6 to get. So to fix that, we would need to make that part of this request here. So we have this title map. So like that could be part of it. Also, we could take in the year also and do something like and y equals year. So then if I'm doing get OMDB title by year, okay, now it's a little bit trickier because what does that take in? Title and year. Get OMDB.
I was gonna say we already have the function for get the year, so.
Given the thing, so we can reuse that, but we still have to have the actual object, and so I'm using that here. I need to actually refactor this out, so this is title, and then because we're also passing in something else now. Which probably means we shouldn't. Oh, I see what we can do. We can change the get OMDB thing by title to be, instead of stripping everything out but the title out, we could change this to be something like get OMDB by film. And have this take in the entire film object. And then we can do something like destructure out the title and the release date. And then use that get year function with the release date. All right, still can't find that one. So let's see what actually comes back from these OMDB responses. All right, so Attack of the Clones on this one was this. It looks about right. Although some of the other ones might have been wrong now. So let's see what Revenge of the Sith ends in 66. Cool. Phantom Menace ends in 915. There we go. Return of the Jedi. Oh, there we go. Works now. It was just that one. There we go. Pew pew. Correct posters. More questions.
Will this video be posted today?
You got it.
Thank you.
Can you look at line 35 and just think, yeah, and just like where you have in between the temporal literals, you have and T and Y.
Yeah.
What are those?
So those are arguments that the OMDB takes. They're part of the query string. So let's like explode this entire thing out. Okay, so that's what I passed into the thing. The OMDB base URL also has like a template literal in it. You can just do template literals on template literals on template literals. So that turns into that plus that. That becomes the API key. Okay, so that is the OMDB base URL part, and then the rest of this gets tacked on to the end. So then if we're further simplifying that, normalized title would be something like Star Wars, and the year would be something like 1977. So the OMDB API looks for a few different things in the query string. One of them is the API key. That's the thing that you had to request. And T is the title. That's that. And the year is 1977. So the way that you could have learned that there's like the user manual for this. So we have Y and T, but we also could have asked for other things. Like, oh, I only want a movie or a TV series or something.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So it puts the plus signs between the spaces automatically? Because I was wondering, like, how is it going to work? Because you can't have a space in the URL.
Right. That's probably browser dependent. Let me see. Just fetch normalize space characters in query strings automatically. By the way, if you've ever seen a URL with a bunch of %20, it does the exact same thing as plus. Does fetch convert. So URL search params, you can do it the other direction. You can use it not just to get a query string out. You can also use it to build one. These are all the old ways you had to do it. That's a good question. So if, like it looks like to me like it's doing it automatically. Let's see what the actual requests were. Yeah, that just has the space in there. I'm kind of surprised it went through. Ah, yeah. It looks like it broke it up all on its own. Let's see if I can see the raw. Yeah, there we go. It encoded it for us automatically. There's those %20s. It's pretty cool. That did not used to be how that worked. The future is better.
Thank you.
Yep. If it was not doing that, we could have used URL encoding, which encode URI component. You pass in a string with special characters, and it does all of that stuff for you. It's a built-in function. More questions about this kind of stuff?
So part of the project was definitely having us be able to click these individual links and we go into a new page.
Mhm.
Do we have time to go into that side of it where we're going to still be pulling from 2 APIs to get poster, crawls, and character lists?
I'll show you how to build the link, and then otherwise I want to move on. But so we've got we're building the URL okay here. And if I make a page for that, I can start by just copying everything from the index. Make that the, oops, it's the JavaScript file. Make that the movie. Call that movie and okay, so this should work as is, like not break if I click one of these. Cool, it just doesn't show the thing. So if I look at the URL that comes in, hey, it's looking for movie number 1. So that would be, to get that movie number 1 into JavaScript, I want to pull in new URL search params window.location.search. And then the ID is going to be query string.get, and it's called movie. Hey, now I've taken that from the query string and moved it into JavaScript so I can do something with it, like make fetch requests. And then otherwise, it's most of the same kind of stuff that we're doing on this. We're not going to request every film, we're going to request a film. And so maybe that's like that. And then the response comes back from that is that. And A, what do you know? It's New Hope. So if I change that H2 to be document.query selector H2, I could say that the H2's text content is response.title. And now it is. So if I check out these other ones, Return of the Jedi, Return of the Jedi. And so you could also use pretty much the same strategy to, all right, go through this. Also request the Omdb thing for that. We could reuse like all those same ID mappings. You take those, mash information from both of them together. It's kind of the same thing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Questions?
Can you show the movie JavaScript file again real quick?
Yeah. All right, so end of Star Wars review.